In the heart of innovation and progress, where ambition meets opportunity, a thriving urban canvas unfolds. A testament to the limitless possibilities that emerge when vision and excellence converge. These lines describe the true spirit of our next session. GIFT IFSC, India's pioneering offshore international financial center, is swiftly establishing itself as a preeminent hub for financial and professional entities engaged in both inbound and outbound investments. Furthermore, it is emerged as the most preferred destination for professional entities composed to offer specialized services to organizations with a footprint in GIFT City. Our expert panel is poised to engage in a comprehensive discussion on the unfolding opportunities within GIFT IFSC for professional firms, unraveling the strategic pathways through which they can actively contribute to and partake in India's compelling narrative of growth. Without further ado, I humbly request CCM ICAI CA Dheeraj Khandelwal, an honored keynote speaker, Mr. K. Rajaraman, to kindly ascend to the dais. CA Dheeraj Kumar Khandelwal is a Central Council member of ICAI for the term 2022-25. He currently holds dignified post as the chairman of MSME and Startup Committee of ICAI. Mr. K. Rajaraman is a chairperson, International Financial Service Center Authority. Requesting CA Dheeraj Khandelwal to set the stage of the session with his opening remarks.
Good evening. Dignitaries on the dais, the chairman of the IFSCA, K. Rajaramji, dignitaries of the dais, the past president of the ICAI, Mr. Reddy sir, the Central Council member, my colleague in the council, Prasanna, and as well as Sanjeev Singhal-ji, and all chairman and management committee people of the chapters, branches, study circle, as well as all the professionals over here. I think this is a great pleasure to welcome all of you to this particular session, which is a Global Connect, which is a new domain and new frontier for all professionals, firms, as well as the financial firms. Today we gather to explore the various opportunities and challenges being presented by the GIFT IFSCA. I'm a chairman of the committee called Development of International Trade Services and WTO, along with the MSME and startup. It's a proud and privilege for me to have the MOUs with the GIFT City and IFCA. Yesterday, we exchanged the MOU with the IFCA, and it's going to be great, play a great role for the professionals. This is a new era of the globalization. We have seen that the India being the frontier for the IT exports. There has been limitation for the export of the goods. The government of India are looking forward. We can increase our GDP growth by having more exports in the service domain. And after the service of the IT hub in the KPO, BPO form, now the new services which are emerging, being having a skilled people, then is none other than the accounting and professional services. And in accounting and professional services, if we talk about, we have seen that from last 20 years, we are providing a services to the US and other country, English domain country. In the services, if we just talk about, 5 years before, we were having only the 30 to 40 countries or firms which were providing the services. In the last 5 years, we can see that India becoming a global hub for the shared services, whether it's insurance companies or financial services, mutual funds, banks, and other institutions, which always looking forward to have their outsource, their complete operations, and looking forward India as a destination hub. Not only in this field, now it's accounting aspect also. After the COVID era, previously we used to look forward the US. Now after the COVID era, the Western countries are looking forward, have an option of outsourcing their accounting part and looking forward India as a global hub. And that's the reason the Prime Minister Modi has emphasized that this is an area of the services which can be rendered. And now they propose to have a change in the GIFT City in IFSC, the Finance Act. In the Finance Act, they're changing the terminology, inclusion of accounting, bookkeeping, cyber fraud, and other services. And by having this change of this terminology in Finance Act, the notification yet to be announced, now door going to be open for all professionals, all chartered accountant. Though we have already signed the MOU, and before the signing the MOU, we were renting various collaboration working with the GIFT City and as well as the IFCA by organizing various programs. I am aware of that last year, the chairmanship of the Ahmedabad branch chairman, Bisan Shah, we organized multiple programs, seminars, how the profession can grab the opportunities in the GIFT and IFCA. This accounting professional is one part. There are multiple parts, and that is the reason that the panel discussion going to be happen, where the Shobha Keni going to lead as a moderator and going to pose various questions to the various panelists. Being in the institute, coming out a good opportunities for the professionals, the ICAI already started working towards this. We started various language courses. Sir, we started 7 different foreign language courses in the Spanish, French, German, Russia, Japanese, and I think 1 or 2. 7 different language courses we started, and we got the 10,000 application for expression of interest to have this language course. And now think, previously we thought about to have the export of the chartered accountant. People going to be render the services by having a placement across the country or maybe in here. Now see this benefit going to be for all professionals who are looking forward to outsource in services in the EU country. Having the culture, having the language will definitely going to help all the professionals. We already started a global week program where we are highlighting the global services, what the country are having it, how you can render services and how the country are have the regulations and what are the opportunities in the different countries. And that's going to be then in the month of December. We are continuously having various webinars on the inbound and outbound investments, how the India are attractive destination, whether it's in different states. We're showcasing India's different states as already signed the MOU with the Invest India to the various countries. We took the delegations to the Luxembourg and London and other countries to showcase our Indian state to the various professionals across the world. And now, this is a professional opportunities for the all young chartered accountant. Just recently, we had a program with the all outsourced companies to showcase the IS officer in Delhi. We came to know about 300 professional firms are there in the outsourcing services. And now, being a chairman of this particular committee, I am taking it place that there are going to be more than 3,000 firms in this accounting profession. And I can say with conviction that when the IT services being rendered by India and contributing the 50% of the GDP in terms of services, and I'm looking forward, the ICAI and even all the professionals will be rendering the services of the BPO in all across 150 cities, in 150 countries. And for that, ICAI is coming up a training program to the all professionals, how to grab the professional opportunity, being whether software or whether in the different language or whether different things. So we started 100-hour global accounting outsourcing certificate course, and the council already passed. And I'm saying that this new batch going to launch soon in the month of December, and you can take a great opportunity to be enrolling in this particular course so that you can be placed and you can start your services to the world. And I'm looking forward a great collaboration with the IFSC and GIFT City. This is a new age of the India, and I'm sure about it with the collaboration with the GIFT and IFSC City, India going to be a leader in accounting and professional service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for setting the tone of the session. Now, I humbly request Mr. K. Rajaraman to grace us with his visionary insights. The floor awaits for your eloquent address, sir.
So first of all, I thank Mr. Khandelwal for his introductory remarks. That is very heartening to know that nearly 300 firms are providing services to accounting services to the rest of the world. So I'm sure that this number has to multiply, because obviously, given the fact that recently there have been several reports that in developed economies there have been a shortage of accounting professionals. And as the global economy grows and becomes more and more complex, I think the need for accounting and allied services is certainly it's a no-brainer. But the question is, before I start my presentation, is that something which I would leave a thought with the senior executives of ICAI. The first one is, when we export services, I think one of the very important things that all of us need to keep in mind is the quality of service. This is something which, because fundamentally, if Indian accounting service providers are be given preference, I think the quality of service is absolutely essential. So therefore, I think the kind of initiatives which is just talking about is to provide language skills, understanding of the regulations and the rules in the other markets, and so on and so forth is very important. So along with that, I think perhaps the ICAI can also work on some equivalence, because if you want to do accounting services, it may also be a good idea to have people professionally qualified with the certifications in the other jurisdictions. I think maybe just like I met some friends from Australia who are members of the ICAI, I think, but carrying on work there and maybe qualified there as well. Similarly, I think people intending to provide these kind of services also may like to obtain this kind of qualification on the other side, and ICAI can act as a bridge. And it's very important to also to perhaps work on some kind of mutual recognition agreements. So if there are, if that is a possibility, I think, that has been done. MRAs have been done in many other sectors. I think I know that in the technical skill sectors, it can be done. It has been done in exports. It has been done between the customs departments of various countries. I think so. These MRAs are is a well-known architecture. So if there is a possibility, at least in many of the jurisdictions who are willing to listen to and have a dialogue, I think we should negotiate MRAs and see how the certificates can be aligned, and or the examinations here are treated on par with the examinations there. So these are some of the thoughts I leave with you before I want to make a short presentation on what this IFSC is. Many of you might be aware. I'm sure that some of you are, and I think I just met some of the people who are already working in IFSC. I think so. I'm sure that you are the ambassadors. I think you know better about how the things actually work in practice, what it actually takes to get started there, and so on and so forth. So while you do that, I thought that maybe it's my duty to give a broad picture of what we are and what we intend to do, because that's very important. So before I do that, I think it's always very important to give the big picture about India. I think because India, as all of you know, is a great democracy. I think we are all proud of it. Great institutions. Institutions like in the financial sector, like RBI, ICAI. I think all of them are in the financial sector. I think all of them have contributed and played a very important role in various parts of the financial sector, making it great. So similarly, I think the great institutions of parliament, media, judiciary, all of them have made our democracy really great. Similarly, I think we have so all of that has contributed. When we say the stability and the certainty that we have provided, despite I think being a democracy is a great strength, but also provides a certain kind of inertia in decision making, because decision making happens through consensus. So, but that itself is a strength, because obviously we take so many people along with us. So the fact that the foreign investors have placed great confidence in India, I think in the form of FDI inflows, FPI inflows, despite all the uncertainties that are happening in the world around, the volatility and uncertainties around us, despite that, India constitutes is a great bright spot, is something that we should be proud of. And I think all of us individually as well as collectively have contributed to that. Our forex reserves are very robust, and I think continue to, I think nearing $600 billion. That provides a great amount of resilience. We are also the fifth largest economy. We are likely to become the third largest very soon. And maybe by 2047, it is expected that we become the second largest economy as well. So the strength, one of the biggest strengths obviously is our human resources. I think the biggest, we'll have about 65% of our population will be less than 35 years. I think by 2047, I think we will have a similar number. So which means that we will continue to serve the world as a very important service provider in various ways. I think so. Our strength also arises in the great amount of reforms that have been done in the last 9 years. Honorable Vice President talked about it in great detail yesterday. So the corporate tax reforms, by cutting the corporate tax, actually the corporate tax collections have gone up by 66% in the last 7 years. Similarly, personal income tax also has gone up by nearly 160% in the last 7 years. All of this has to do with what the Honorable Vice President touched upon. A lot of cleaning up of the system has actually enabled trust and confidence. The honest taxpayers are feeling confident. Okay, well, I think everybody will have to pay tax, so let me also pay tax. So I think, so therefore, there is this great trust that has been created by the rule of law, which is, I think, something creditable. I think the GST, as he also mentioned yesterday, is a very great reform. It is, I think, the biggest business reform, which has enabled logistics to move across the country in a seamless manner, reduced turnover times. It has reduced the cost of doing business, and so on and so forth significantly. And the number of GST taxpayers also has increased significantly over the last 3-4 years, which is also to show that I think the people are trusting the system much better than before. If you look at the financial sector structural reforms, I think the insolvency and bankruptcy code has been a real big game changer. Of course, more has to be done to further reform the IBC, but obviously the way it has actually cleaned up the banking system today, I think, yesterday I was seeing a report. If 3 lakh crores was recovered directly through the IBC, 9 lakh crores was recovered because IBC was just invoked. So I think that is the kind of scale of money which has been paid back to the banking system, which otherwise would not have been paid back. Just because you initiated an insolvency claim, the creditors did that, brought back 9 lakh crores. And all these cases, all these insolvency claims were withdrawn. I mean, I think after the claims were settled. So which means that the system is working. And I think it's a fantastic piece of reform. As a result of which the banks today are healthy. Today we have banks, public sector banks, which are the most difficult banks to manage, have all turned healthy. They all have recorded historic profits in the last year. And I'm sure that they will continue to grow from strength to strength. Then you have financial inclusion, which I think is the biggest reform that has ever happened in the history of free India. So 500 million people have got bank accounts. And as the Honorable Vice President said, nearly about 2.5 lakh crores is in their bank accounts of these 500 million people. The biggest reform is what is not spoken about. That is, these 500 million people have now been connected to the banking system. So now they have started accessing credit in various ways. Many of them will start accessing insurance services. Many of them will get pensioned in due course. Pension, I think savings will start accruing. So they are plugging into the financial system is going to be a complete game changer. The kind of explosive growth in the financial services that is going to happen because of the bottom of the pyramid, which is going to have just joined the system, which is going to be mind-blowing. And let me tell you that it is going to contribute to the growth of this country in a manner never before. These are the people who are going to contribute to the nation building in the next 25 years. Now, you look at the ease of doing business. This is also remarkable, I think. Laws which were made in 1885, because I was secretary in the Department of Telecommunications several months ago. So we were governed by a law called the Indian Telegraph Act of 1885, law which was written about 130 years back. So come to think of a law which was written to keep a country under control is still being used to govern a free country is a miracle. I think the law has been written reasonably well, no doubt about that. But the question is that I think time has come after 75 years to clean up these legal systems and remove all this colonial past and ensure that we start with a clean slate for a modern India. I think that is what the Honorable Prime Minister has been trying to do. And even as late as this year, I think nearly about the Jan Vishwas bill, which was passed, removed several hundreds of provisions which actually criminalized many of the mistakes that generally businessmen do as part of their businesses. So work is in progress, and I'm sure that a lot of these compliances will get reduced or eliminated or modified or or made less burdensome and so on and so forth. Now, if you look at the, I think the predictions, this is a report from the Swiss Re. It's a very large reinsurance company. So they say that based on their prediction, the next 10 years, India will be the fastest growing economy. I think nobody need to say that again and again. But independent reports from various, respectable institutions have all shown that India is going to be a very, very fast growing economy, and we will find a huge amount of growth happening within this country. Now let's focus for a minute on what we aim to do as a country in the next 25 years, which I think is the most significant target of the government. The Honorable Prime Minister has also been talking about Bharat at 2047, and the next 25 years is going to be very critical. I think we are going to be the largest country by population. I think with nearly about 1.6 billion people in 2047. We are going to have 600 million children in various parts of the educational system, starting from school to college. About 75% of the workforce will become women. I think currently, I think it's about 30-40%. So I think 70% of the women will enter the workforce. I think so. Their gender participation will be much better. The labor force participation will be much better. Then we will also have a working population, which I think is nearly 1 billion. From 18 to 65. I think today I think the retirement age also will probably by 2047 become 65. So you will have 1 billion people who will be in the workforce. I think so. In the next 25 years, maybe about 250 million people will join the workforce. I think this is also something which is remarkable. Then you look at the college gross enrollment rate, because if you want to become a strong country, I think we'll have to put more and more of our children in colleges. So the gross enrollment rate, as per our the new education policy, will move up from 28% to nearly about 60%, which means that more and more highly qualified people will join the race. The R&D expenditure will go up from 0.7% to about 2.5%, so that we become a more innovative country, producing more patents and so on and so forth. So I think all of this has to be done. I mean, I wouldn't like to go into great detail in all this, but the target is we become the second largest GDP with about $32 trillion of GDP, and with a per capita income nearly about $26,000, nearly 10 times of what it takes now, and grow our exports from nearly about less than $1 trillion to about say $5-6 trillion by 2047. So if you want to do all of that, it requires a lot of capital. I think it requires so many other things, like education, health, I think infrastructure and so on and so forth. But the most important thing from an IFSC point of view is capital. I think this is a report which Dun & Bradstreet had put out just about a few weeks back. Saying that India requires about an additional net capital of about $18 trillion to come in. More than in addition to the savings and the internal capital generation that happens within the country. So of which I think about $4 trillion would be required for financing the industrial growth, especially of SMEs. Currently, we have got nearly about 7 million registered SMEs. I think this is going to, with nearly about 70 million overall SMEs, including micro enterprises. But this is going to probably grow by 4 times or 5 times. So the financing needs will be enormous, I think, because we want to feed the engine of growth that India will be in 2047, which means that I think we'll need about 4 trillion. I think these are all estimates. I think the numbers can be, can be reworked and looked again. There are a lot of people who are studying this, and I'm sure that by next year, I think government will come out with a lot of plans. We will require about $4 trillion for infrastructure, another $10 trillion to meet the net zero growth. So what it means, the long and short, is that we will need a lot of capital. So which means that the lines, the pipelines that come into our country, have to be unclogged, have to be made bigger. I think the friction and the losses that happen and the leakages that happen in these pipelines have to be eliminated, so that I think capital flows freely into this country for the development needs of this country. So here IFSC will play a very important role. As the Honorable Prime Minister says, this will be the great gateway for India's financial services. IFSC, many of you know, is just about 25 minutes from here. I think I request some of you to visit it. I think the CEO, Mr. Sandip Shah, is here. I think my colleague, Mr. Dipesh Shah, is also here. I think some of them, you can reach out to them. I think we will organize visits, even not now, later on also. If you want to come, you're welcome. So it's a greenfield city. It is not like Mumbai, Tokyo, or Singapore or something like which grew over 50 years or 100 years or 500 years. It just grew. It is just about, say, about 13, 14 years old. And I think effectively, I think as a legal framework, I think it has just taken off in the last 3 years. So it's divided into 3 zones: an IFSC zone, then you have an SEZ zone, and then also a domestic tariff area. So it's a vertical city, and it's in about 800 acres. I think I'm sure that Sandip will talk more about that. So it's an integrated development. I think I will skip all of that. So the vision is that it becomes a very important gateway for India's financial capital needs and also for the financial services that India needs. So we are a unified regulator. The government has delegated the powers of RBI, SEBI, PFRDA, IRDA, the insurance, pension, all these regulators' powers have been delegated to the International Financial Services Center, so that we act as a single window for any financial services needs of a global India. And we currently are, the financial system is such that I think it's fully convertible. The currencies there is no control. In India, in the domestic India, if you want to take out money, you need RBI's permission on the capital account. On the trade account, there is no problem. So here, I think we offer full convertibility. 11 currencies are permitted, and I think we are planning to add some 4 or 5 more currencies. Then we also have a globally benchmarked tax regime, about which we'll talk a little later. We have a full-fledged financial ecosystem also, which I'll explain a little later. Our regulations are not, as I said, I think of vintage. I think these have been written in the last 3 years, and therefore they are very simple, principle-based, and they're also agile. Let me tell you that I think people have been continuously meeting us and telling us that what needs to move. I think so, and we are very open. I think we have a consultative process. I think we put things to the public consultations, or the consultation of the market. We welcome your suggestions. I think if you feel that some of the regulations need to move on and probably be more globally aligned, I think we are willing to look at that, provided I think it meets some of the safeguard requirements, etc. And we also have special carve-outs from certain laws. Like, for instance, the Foreign Exchange Management Act does not apply to us. That is why we offer full convertibility. But the Prevention of Money Laundering Act applies to us. So there are some laws which don't apply, some laws which don't apply. And all the laws for which carve-outs have not been given certainly do apply. And the principal law is obviously the Indian Constitution and the other laws for which carve-outs have not been given. About the advantages of GIFT City, I don't have to talk more. I think it's part of India. So therefore, It offers a very attractive manpower resources. I think the advantage of cost-effective cost of doing business, including compared to say Singapore or Hong Kong, where real estate, human resources are frightfully expensive. I think. So there are about more than 30 regulations which have been written down. I don't want to go into that. You please look up our website. I think you have insurance regulations, banking regulations. We have fund management regulations, ship leasing, aircraft leasing, a host of regulations which have been put in place. Please do visit our website or drop in. I think we can arrange for a video conference with some of our teams in case you wish to run through it in greater detail. We have a competitive tax regime. It's complete exemption for about 10 years out of 15 years for corporate income tax for business income earned out of GIFT City, and no capital gains. Obviously, the income has to be in foreign exchange, the allowed foreign exchange of 11 currencies. Then we also, there is no MAT if you switch over to the new tax regime. There is no commodity transaction tax, security tax, transaction tax, GST. Stamp duty has been exempted by the state government of Gujarat. And also withholding tax applies at a rate of 9%, which is a lower rate of interest on the interest paid on debt instruments, which are raised out of GIFT City. So we also, certain kind of companies also are eligible for incentives under the Gujarat ITIS policy, especially those which employ manpower, especially the global capability centers and so on and so forth. Now, there are a whole host of business activities. I wouldn't want to go through it. We have a banking ecosystem. We have a capital market ecosystem, asset management ecosystem. All of them are there. I think I'm sure that many of you will look up. I think this. So the highlight is that over the last several years, a lot of work has been done in the last 7-8 years, but principally in the last 3 years, I think about 550 entities have been registered with us. I think this number is just growing every month. About $67 billion of monthly turnover happens in the stock exchanges. There are 2 stock exchanges which are getting merged into one. Banks have an asset base of currently about $52 billion. About 26 banks currently are in operation, with about 10 of them are foreign banks, which include a Japanese bank. Some, I think there are a few of the US banks. I think there are many other banks which are in the process of applying. Then we have about 122 aircraft assets which are leased out of GIFT City. We have $20 billion of assets under management through the 80 alternative investment funds which have been registered with GIFT City, and so on and so forth. Now, if you look at these services, who can avail of services? I think while we can set up a lot of businesses, I think resident individuals can use GIFT City by buying foreign securities through our stock exchange. They can use GIFT City through the LRS route for accessing educational loans. Suppose they're sending a child abroad. I think obviously you can send money to GIFT City and through a bank account here and send it to your child, I think, as and when it's required. You can also raise educational loans through GIFT City. There are a couple of finance companies which provide educational loans. Then we also have services which we provide to NRIs and foreign residents, which includes investments in private equity funds. You can do banking and insurance products. Pension products are on the way. Next year, I think probably we should launch them. They can invest in the securities market. Then there are family investment fund regulations are also in place, so they are also welcome to invest. Overseas derivative instruments such as participatory notes, etc., can be issued out of GIFT City. Also, if you look at corporates, I think they have got a huge amount of services which they can use. Because essentially corporates, if they have to be globally competitive, they need to raise money in a very cost-effective manner. I think you cannot be borrowing costly and then providing cheap services. It's just not possible. It's a figment of imagination. So therefore, MSMEs, the corporates, the CPSEs, the state public sector undertakings, all of them can use our platform to raise cost-effective external commercial borrowings in foreign exchange. Insurance and reinsurance products. They can also do global treasury operations. Derivatives can be done. I think they can hedge some of their activities in GIFT City. Equity can be raised. I think many of them, if you want, equity can be raised through the PE funds who are there. I think very shortly we'll also be enabling direct listing, which will enable companies to actually, the Indian companies, to come and do an IPO or an FPO in the GIFT City. I think in forex denominated stocks. Then we also have platforms which allow export bill factoring, reverse factoring, and so on and so forth. If there are REITs and InvITs, I think they can also do listing in our stock exchange and then issue their units out of this place. Import of bullion and silver is also possible through the bullion exchange. And of course, fintech companies which we want to do testing of their fintech products also are welcome. I think they can do. We have an innovation and a regulatory sandbox. I think we'll be happy to provide services. So I'll stop with just with inviting you to some of our events. I think we have an Infinity Forum, which is happening on December 9th, where the Honorable Prime Minister is expected to inaugurate. So, I think I request all of you to join online. We'll be sharing the link with ICAI. And I'm sure that you'll learn more about IFSC and also look at how you can exploit some of the opportunities that beckon. We also are having an export finance conference, which is being organized on behalf of the Ministry of Commerce on December 19th. So some of you who are in the export finance business also are welcome. And of course, Vibrant Gujarat is there on January 10th to 12th. I think there will be a very large, gathering of the business community whom you would want to interact with. So with these few words, I'll stop here and thank you. And I think I'm sure that the panel and all of us can answer a lot of questions. Thank you.
In recognition of your eminence and expertise, your insights are invaluable. Thank you for gracing us with your presence and sharing niche perspectives into the future of India through lens of GIFT City. Now, requesting CA Dr. Sanjeev Singhal, CCM ICAI, to present a memento token of appreciation to Mr. K. Rajaraman. Without further ado, now I humbly request versatile moderator of the session, Mrs. Shobha Keni, influential panelist, Mr. Sandip Shah, Mr. Dipesh Shah, Mr. Viral Kanabar, to kindly ascend to the dais. Anticipating an enlightening discourse, graced by your profound knowledge and experience, I hold firm confidence that your esteemed presence on the dais will not only illuminate our discussions, but also significantly enrich the collective learning experience of our esteemed audience. While the stage is set, I humbly take an opportunity to briefly introduce our dignitaries. Moderator of the session, Mrs. Shobha Keni. She is an eminent expert. Panelist of the session, Mr. Sandip Shah is the head IFSC department, GIFT City. Mr. Dipesh Shah is Executive Director, International Financial Service Centers Authority. Mr. Viral Kanabar is founder of Be Free, one of the leading KPOs operating from GIFT City. Expressing gratitude to all esteemed dignitaries on the dais for their invaluable contributions, we now commence our deliberations. With great honor, I invite Mrs. Shobha Keni to take command of the discussion, guiding us through this intellectual expedition across the diverse landscape of global prospects with expertise. We extend our sincere appreciation for assuming this pivotal role, madam, and the stage is now yours to enlighten us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think it was a very, very, very deeply passionate, speech coming out from Mr. Rajaram. I think if you had given him more time, I think he would have given more and more things. Actually, I learned a lot from the session. In fact, I'm new to Gujarat. This is the first time I'm come to Gujarat, but I'm amazed at the kind of the people here. I mean, generally post-lunch session, you don't have so many people. And I bet most of you are chartered accountants here. Can you raise your hands? Amazing. I think I wouldn't see this kind of a crowd in Bangalore, but this is extremely, amazing to see such a big crowd. And of course, I come from a practice where I lead the accounting practice for EY in India. And I have a large team. Of course, we have a mix of both the financial chartered accountants and BCom. I mean, what Mr. Dheeraj did mention about the talent pool is something which was very amazing. He did spoke to me just before the session, and he called out how many chartered accountants come out from Ahmedabad. And he also did mention about the talent pool outside coming from Pune and Maharashtra. So this is something which is, I think, very, very, I would say, an important aspect for the IFSC, considering this is more for the financial and professional services firm. Recent statistics show that around 2,000 GCCs have already been set up in India, and from my experience, most of them are either IT, ITS, and very limited number of them coming to India for the financial or the FP&A kind of role, or even the legal and professional firms. So it is quite amazing to see that the kind of infrastructure which is built in here. And of course, we will talk to the panel experts in terms of their viewpoint, in terms of what GIFT IFSC is all about. I will not introduce, I think Mr. Rajaraman stole some of my script, so I will not get into the script. But the things which probably we would want to listen, I think one of the biggest thing which IFSC offers is a new frontier for most of the professional and accounting firms to kind of strategically have a platform here in Gujarat to kind of build a kind of large organizations, set up GCCs, etc. here. So 1,500 GCCs are going to come in the next 1 year. And I think this is a very good opportunity for you, especially the IFSC members, to see how to kind of potentially pull in these GCCs to this attractive sector. And coming in from Bangalore, I know that we have a talent pool, but that's getting quite exhausted. And the infrastructure is something which I feel is something not up. I mean, I'm in Bangalore, right? So I know the development is not that far as I see in Gujarat. So the other factors are people are going to Hyderabad as one of the GCC locations, even that is getting filled up. So I think it's a very good opportunity. Now, I will not waste too much of time. And what I will do is I will have some questions to the panelists here who are the experts from the IFSC, and we have one external speaker also. I will just let them talk more about what is IFSC all about, while Mr. Rajaram spoke about a lot about these things. But I will get into the basics. Basically, many of them would want to understand in terms of what exactly is IFSC, what are the key features, what are the advantages, what are the infrastructure, what are you doing to develop these infrastructure here, and talent pool. Of course, Dheeraj, you rightly pointed out the talent pool is very important, and it is amazing. You talked about language skills. In our global delivery services, we have around 40,000 employees in India, and what exactly you said resonates because we also cater to non-English speaking countries. And that's where I think there's a lot of potential, because those countries do not have talent and would rely on somebody like Indian consultant who would be able to support them on non-English speaking countries. So this is something amazing. So I will, my first question to you, Dr. Dipesh. First of all, congratulations and
I think,
sorry, Dipesh. I will ask Dipesh. Dr. Dipesh, first of all, congratulations. I think you have done a doctorate in this subject, IFSC, and you have been instrumental in setting up this IFSC in Gujarat. So my question to you is, why was this established, and what is the strategic significance for this professional and finance firm?
Yeah, thank you. I think at the outset, I must thank the ICAI and the institute, the energy which we saw yesterday. We came for the inaugural. I think fantastic energy, and credit to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India of organizing at this scale and size. I think I am part of being from Gujarat, but I never visualized that it can be so big that you could bring it in Gandhinagar. So congratulations to all of you for pulling it. Before this panel started, we were on the lighter side telling the Dheeraj ji, the ICAI is few. It means that almost in size of an Indian army is with you, because You are like a financial army, 400,000 members and 800,000 students. Put together 12 lakhs is what your number is, which is equivalent to more than probably an Indian army. So a financial army with you is really energizes everybody. But as you rightly asked the question in terms of why the IFFC or GIFT City got conceptualized, and probably when I was entering today in this room, a chartered accountant from Rajasthan was just entering with me and he asked me very simple question. You are from GIFT City? I said yes. And he said, GIFT City में होता क्या है? हमको investment करना है. क्या है क्या GIFT City? So I understand there are three questions that today probably an audience would have. One, what is GIFT City? One, what is the GIFT IFFC? And then probably what is an IFFCA? If you see this three terminology as a professional, you will keep seeing this for next probably how many years I don't know, but you will keep understanding this for next probably a decade of opportunities emerging from the financial center. So let me explain this three concept. GIFT City is India's first smart city, which has come up in the state of Gujarat in the Gandhinagar, which is the capital of the state. And it is very close to the Ahmedabad airport. So from an airport, it is just 15 minutes. You can be in the GIFT City. In GIFT City, there are two zones. One is the domestic and one is the SEZ or the special economic zone. So when we talk of the domestic zone, it is same like any other zone in India. So whether you are in Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, whatever you can do in the rest of India, you can also do in the domestic zone of GIFT City. And when you come in the SEZ or the special economic zone of GIFT City, is where the International Financial Services Center, IFFC, is set up. Now, IFFC is India's first offshore center within onshore India. And I think many of you may be surprised to know that today now the India has two systems. One is the domestic India, where the regulators are RBI, SEBI, IRDA and PFRDA, which are our domestic regulators. Probably as a chartered accountant, you would have studied those laws in and out. But now India also has a separate zone and a separate regulator unified called an International Financial Services Center Authority. And you just heard from our chairman what the IFFC as an authority is trying to do. So we now have two systems in India, one for the domestic India and one for the international India, where the laws and the regulators are both different. And as a chartered accountant, probably I've also come from a professional background. And I always kept wondering, sitting in India, why can't I serve offshore? Or why can't I do practice for outside? And probably every time people would say, why don't you take a degree in UK? Or why don't you take an Australian degree? And probably you can do work in those countries also. But now I think it's a beautiful opportunity for the chartered accountants that with your same degree, what you're possessing today as a chartered accountancy, you can actually come in GIFT City and practice international financial services. I think this could have been made possible only with the International Financial Center now being set up recently. I think in 2015, this got operationalized. And in 2020, the authority got set up in the IFFC zone. So now, as a chartered accountant, you suddenly have two opportunities. One, which you are already doing for your domestic clients and probably for your domestic audience. And now you can also help a lot of foreign companies to come to India through GIFT City and charge them in dollar and be in GIFT City. And as you saw in the presentation, you don't have to pay tax on the business profits that you earn, your entity earns here. Now, it is very dangerous to talk of tax incentives in front of the chartered accountants, because I'm sure tomorrow morning, even if it is Sunday, everybody will be in the GIFT City that what is the tax incentives and how can I set up? So let me put a disclaimer. There is no tax incentive for you to do India business sitting in GIFT. GIFT City is meant just like an offshore center. You have a DIFC, Dubai International Finance Center, where you go and set up. You are outside all the local taxes, local law. So GIFT is just similar as a financial center. You come to GIFT City, you do whatever business sitting in the IFFC zone. That business you can do, serve the clients in India in dollar. You can serve the IFFC clients in dollar, and you can serve offshore clients in dollar terms. But you can't serve from GIFT City a domestic client sitting in India for the rupee business. That is not allowed. So I'm again clarifying that there's no tax incentive for the work which you are already doing from the domestic zone, but you can come in GIFT City and start new practice, which probably you might have not been doing till now. So it adds to you helping someone to set up in GIFT City. helping someone directly from outside to serve from GIFT City. So I'll divide probably a long answer to your question, but I'll divide 3 opportunities. One, for the domestic GIFT City, you can do a lot of things. As my friend was asking me, I have a lot of investors as a chartered accountant with me, and I want to help them, advise them to invest into GIFT City. So that GIFT City has a large opportunity of investors where you can help your investors to invest in. You have a second opportunity as in SEZ, where a pure IT, ITES services or any services for that matter, because GIFT is a multi-service SEZ, you can help those clients to set up in the SEZ. And the third is an IFFC, which is the International Financial Services Center, for which you can help them to undertake international financial services in foreign currency. And that could be a very new line of business getting added to your practice or to your employment in whichever field you are in.
Thank you. That was very passionate, Doctor. I think most of you in the IFSC members are very, very passionate about what you have been doing. And Sandip, over to you. I think you have also been very instrumental in setting up the IFC here. And can you briefly let us know the development plan for the GIFT City and the opportunities arising from such development?
No, thanks. I think, by now, all of you know that, the concept of GIFT City basically. And I think the tagline that you have also mentioned for this today's event is connecting to the globe. That's what the objective of GIFT IFSC as well, where financial market, as we all know, that it has become a one market. You can't divide a financial market of India or US or UK separately, because the way money flows now basically from one country to another country, it becomes very important for the financial services professionals that they are well connected with the world. And that's where I think we recently attended the World Congress, where the large CA professionals from India and across the world were present. And very soon, I think it's the entrepreneurship mindset of the country. We are here today with our own version of GloPec, and that's where I see a lot of similarities in terms of what we are trying to achieve, through the events like this GloPec and what we are trying to do at GIFT City. So in terms of the overall developments that we are doing at GIFT City, I think Sir rightly mentioned, it's very important to understand that the GIFT City is basically, it's a greenfield smart city project, where Government of Gujarat is creating global financial and IT services hub. Now, generally, as we know that we have not created many greenfield cities. This is one of the such cities where it is created from the scratch, and with an objective to focus on financial and IT services as a sector. The city, I think we started way back in 2008-10, and probably the IFSC as a financial center started in 2015. Now, the three key kind of, the elements required for a financial center to grow. The one was the regulatory regime, the second was the competitive tax regime, and the third was the dispute resolution mechanism. So what we feel that in terms of creating the foundation for a financial center, a lot of efforts have been made by Government of India, by the regulators in India, and also now with, IFSC authority. The strong foundation for international financial center has been created. This is now an opportunity for Indian professionals, because, till recently you have been advising clients for their business in India, for investments in India. And whenever, you want them to do the international business, we have always advised them to set up in either Dubai or Singapore or Mauritius for their different businesses. So that's where the opportunity is, where it's time to look at the Government of India's own financial center and understand what else, how you can advise your existing clients to do the business within India in a foreign currency. So it's important to note that when you set up an entity in the IFSC, you are recognized as non-resident under the FEMA. And that's where the opportunity lies, where whenever you want your Indian clients to go abroad, you should look at the IFSC regulation and try to understand whether can we do it sitting in India and without going abroad. And whenever you are actually trying to attract the foreign investments through the other financial centers, That's where the opportunity is, where can we allow it to happen it through the IFSC and attract the investment into the country. And apart from the broad level, these opportunities, I think the real opportunity is also where there is a dedicated framework under the IFSC regulations, and I think Dipesh sir will speak more in detail about it. We are not talking about only banking, insurance, and the capital markets. I think even if you are a chartered accountant professionals, and if you're looking to provide services to the offshore clients or the gift city clients, you can still be a part of the IFS ecosystem. You can still avail the incentives, and you can advise your offshore clients to be a part of this gift IFS ecosystem. So I think more from the overall development perspective, the city is, as I mentioned, Greenfield City is coming up well. And as sir rightly mentioned, it's only 20 minutes drive from the existing location. It's a great opportunity for all of you to go and visit India's first international financial center. We have done a quite good job in terms of creating the basic infrastructure. I think some of the infrastructure facilities that the city has created, this has been created first time, and if you look at the underground utility tunnel, the automated waste collection plant, I think some of this infrastructure has been created first time. And the other infrastructure, this is more from the hardware infrastructure, but in terms of the software infrastructure also, the infrastructure has been laid down in such a way that the large financial and IT services companies can actually operate freely in the environment. So that's where we are right now.
So has the World Cup helped you in terms of building a global exposure? I mean, maybe Dheeraj, you can answer that. Has it helped you in terms of bringing more visibility and helping us in terms of getting more attraction, investments into India?
Definitely, I think that is why we signing the already the MAU with them to showcase the art chapters. I think we have around 54 chapters across the world, and we have the 40,000 chartered accountant. And these chartered accountants are employed in the various businesses of that country, and these businesses are looking forward to come to India. Like just now, we are having with the chat with the Bimal Galoth, he's from the Melbourne, and he said that we wanted to invest in India, and we wanted to be in the IFSC. So that's, I think, the gift city and IFSC will be definitely aim forward, and we look forward a great combination, and not only in the accounting, as rightly said by the Sandip, in the mutual fund, AIF, and insurance business, banking businesses, and various shared services. So it's a multiple opportunity in the various areas, not only just in single area. So a lot of other services being covered in this. So
Yeah.
it's great.
I agree. I mean, for example, we see a lot of this FP&A, which is a very skilled niche skill in India, which is available with most of our chartered accountants, is very rare in other countries. And we see a lot of pull for the FP&A kind of a role. So do you think here in the IFSC, you will have that kind of a talent where you will be training them in terms of the FP&A kind of a role? Because that needs a little bit more than just an accounting skills, more analytical skills. So do you think we can have that kind of a talent here?
Of course, definitely. The chartered accountants can do anything. Being a chartered accountant, you have seen as a bookkeeper or accountant or an auditor or a consultant and business solution provider. Definitely in FNPA, all the chartered accountants serve in the banks, and that is the reason we wanted to have a training center. We just recently started the certificate course for the accounting and the bookkeeping. Definitely, we're going to have more in detail manner of how the FNPA and that can be worked. So definitely, we're going to have the certificate go together with this, Gift City and ICAI. We can definitely come out.
I think that's one talent which is I see growing a lot in India. And Viral, you've been a kind of a consultant, entrepreneur all these years, and you have kind of supported many Australian clients. And now, of course, I came to know that you moved to India and you started your own KPO, working with US, Australian clients and UK clients. So what do you think companies look at when they come to India, especially if you're looking at, and something with your experience of having set up in the gift city, what do you think they would look at as a kind of attraction to come and settle in Gujarat?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. See, I think one of the main aspect for any foreign institution. Now, I've spent about 20 years in Australia and moved back to India with my own, business, which is Be Free. I think one of the basic aspect of GIFT and IFSC is ease of doing business. And when I say ease of doing business, I'll just repeat the word of Chairman Sir, agile regulators. They openly consult that, what can we do for you? So that was the main aspect. Any financial institution moving from Australia or UK or Canada or even US would like to see that. That's one aspect of ease of doing business. But in the second aspect of ease of doing business, it's the environment itself, the infrastructure. When you get into the GIFT City, you will feel like you are in Singapore. That doesn't mean that I like Singapore, but it's just the atmosphere it creates. I used to have delivery centers across India, but the experience I'm having in GIFT City is you can't compare. So that's the second. And third is the vision of creating the city by having the ecosystem. So when I say ecosystem, you need the tap into the skills shortage. You need to tap into the technology. You need to tap into infrastructure, agile regulators. All of these aspects are key and very important for any foreign institutions to move to any location in the world. Yeah.
I think you did mention that you are around 1,500 employees, right? So how long did it take for you to reach to that scale?
It's a great story. We were the first private company moved to GIFT City in 2013. I had about 20 employees at that time. We are now about 1,500 employees across India. We are constructing our own tower within the GIFT City to kind of, obviously we have a growth plan and we are aiming to be a 3,000 people company in next 5 to 6 years time. So that's a great story we have.
Yeah, excellent. You were the pilot for the IFSC. I think a good foundation, I would say, for the IFSC, right?
And if you want to actually understand the journey and the success of GIFT City, Be Free is the right example. The way from 2013 and now they are talking of creating their own tower, basically. I think that's the testimony of the success of GIFT City.
Excellent. I think it's amazing. I have never seen such kind of a growth. I mean, that's very amazing. Dr. Dipesh, in terms of the initiatives what GIFT IFSC has undertaken, how do you attract foreign investment and promote collaborations with, of course, the international and financial and professional firms? How do you collaborate with them?
I think we have two sets of approaches. As you saw, one is the regulation, which has to talk in the same language as a global regulation. So when the task was given to the IFFC authority, the task was not to do an incremental what the law in India is. The task is how do you do away with the Indian law, which is more domestic, and how you bring a regulation which is more in line with the international best practices. So if you really see from a global investor, the first ask is, do the regulation being drafted or being operated in the way the international investors can invest and come and set up? So the answer to that first question is yes, now the regulation talks in the same global language. Two is, does the tax operate in the same principle as they operate in Singapore, Dubai, Mauritius? So if I take an example of, say, fund, we brought in a fund management entity regulation, which was a deviation from what India has, an alternate investment fund regime, AIF, SEBI AIF regime, which probably most of the chartered accountants would have heard or read about. But I'm sure they may not have read about the fund management entity regulation in the IFFC, because in last 18, 20 months, this regime has come into play. What it now does is it provides you the same regulatory framework under which now 78 funds have set up with fund management entities and 75 funds with, as you saw, the number of $20 billion investments into India or outside committed to those funds. Now, why did they choose to come and set up here? And what are those funds which are coming? So you have players like, say, Kedara Capital, you have players like Multiples, players like Morgan Stanley from Singapore coming and setting up here. Now, you can always say that, when you start a new center in India, you can pull the domestic players because, by pull or push effect, you can bring in. But foreign players don't come and set up just by telling them that look, my regulation is in line with international best practice. They will actually go much more in detail to compare how does it, operate. When we started getting this foreign institution, I think what we are now able to establish is someone wants to do a new fund. I can very confidently say in this room that nobody is thinking of going to Mauritius to do India centric funds. There was a trend that you will set up in Mauritius to do India investments. But now we can very confidently say that with GIFT, Mauritius no longer is required. DIFC or Dubai, you no longer required to go to do India investment. And I think we are just knocking the doors of Singapore from the perspective that the cost of doing business in GIFT is significantly lower versus what is having there. Now, when I say cost is lower, it means that you can set up an office with as lower as less than $1 per square feet per month in terms of setting up the operations. And the skilled manpower, the chartered accountant itself is the largest pool of skill available into the system at a lower cost versus what is happening outside. And even the lawyer fees. I think the lawyer fees, what people are paying outside versus what you pay in GIFT, is a big difference. With all this, the foreign institutions have started making the IFFC as their base, and we can see that trend continuing. We are close to now 25 banks, out of which 11 are foreign banks, which includes from Japan, US, UK. We have players from Germany. All banks have now set up into GIFT, and they are doing India ECB, India trade finance much more efficiently versus those being done from Singapore. So now, to answer to what you just said, I think it's more the ease of doing business, as was mentioned, and also the ease of clarity of tax, which you get when you come to GIFT. Nobody wants to be in Mauritius, in Singapore, and then, the substance issue comes up from the tax authorities. Because the IFFC tax laws are written under the Indian tax law. And we get a direct exemption within the Indian Income Tax Act. So you are not relying on any treaty when you do business from GIFT. Now, this, according to us, is becoming the single most important factor for foreign institutions to come and set up in GIFT, because there is a regulation, there is a tax, and the cost advantage to operate.
Thanks, Dr. Dipesh. So Sandip, in terms of the key regulatory considerations, Mr. Rajaraman went through a whole lot of details, but I think it was too much for the audience to kind of grasp in a second. So maybe you can call out a couple of them, which is key and is important for investors in the GIFT City.
Sure. I think, through this platform, I would like to pass on very important message to all the professionals here. I think till recently, we have always, chartered accountant profession has looked at more from a taxation services and the auditing services. Idea is to now, think beyond auditing and taxation, and that's where IFSC comes into a play. I think, sir, if you look at one of the slide, the slide was presenting the 30 regulations, basically, which have been permitted in the IFSC. Now, financial services is always, talked about from the perspective of banking, insurance, and the capital markets. We have actually not thought of beyond those three areas. But if you look at the last 2-3 years regulations, the financial services, we are also talking about aircraft leasing and financing. I think when we understand the aircraft leasing and financing business, this business was not happening in India till recently. And now, the first aircraft from Air India has been leased from GIFT City. It's not an aviation market. When you look at leasing and financing, it's a pure financial product, financial services, which you as a chartered accountant can actually, provide services to these companies. We are talking of ship leasing and financing activities. Now, again, when we are talking of shipping, it's not a shipping business, but we are talking of a leasing and financing business. How do you help shipping company to avail the financing basically from the international markets? So I think there are 20 odd activities which have been permitted today in the IFSC zone. And as a chartered accountant, whether you have a financial services clients or if you have a non-financial services clients, even if you have a manufacturing clients in your domain, there are certain opportunities within IFSC which can be provided to your clients? Because many a times what happens, because of the lack of knowledge and lack of awareness, you end up doing what you have been doing traditionally for years. How many of you know that your manufacturing client can actually avail foreign currency loan from the banks in GIFT City? You can actually provide the trade finance related services within India from GIFT City. How many of you are aware that the FPI investments are actually now happening from GIFT City, from India? It's not only coming from Singapore or Mauritius kind of jurisdictions. And that's where whenever your client is talking of raising money, raising capital, or raising debt basically from the international markets, I think it's a time to look at the regulations available within our next door in India in the IFSC zone. And the good part is it's evolving area. So, even if you feel that some activities are not clearly defined, the regulator is quite open to the ideas to look at the new opportunities as well. And if it fits into the overall agenda and objective of, creating the inbound and outbound gateway for the country, I think this will be enabled. And that's what is happening in over a period of time. So probably, it's a right time for all of you to actually visit the website of IFSC Authority, GIFT City, download the regulations, understand in detail the each business activities, and then probably it's time to venture into new lines of businesses and services which you have never done. And probably in next 1 year, one of you should have done the transaction on the aircraft leasing for your client. You should be actually advising your clients to do the global treasury operations from GIFT City. How can you help them to do the currency hedging or a commodity hedging through the GIFT platform? So that's where we feel that I think the international market is open through GIFT City, and take the full advantage of the opportunities available today.
Yeah, I think, thanks, Sandip. I think that's very elaborate. In fact, I was not aware that you also have a REIT, you have various structures which are happening, ECBs. I mean, it's amazing that everything can happen in this city. And I think you are expanding as you go and bringing in new avenues to the market. So that's excellent. So Dheeraj, for you, a question. I did see a lot of chartered accountants here, but I feel from my profession, I also have a mix of a lot of commerce graduate. So what do you think? I mean, of course, those are the ones who are actually doing the core operations. So while all of them may not clear their chartered accountant, so there are people who are bright and smart. And personally, I feel they are our core strength, So what do you think? I mean, from this particular sector perspective, we should also give a little bit focus on commerce graduates also. So what do you think the potential here in Ahmedabad for commerce graduates?
I think very valid questions, being we are talking about, 12 lakh families, financial army.
Yeah.
So it's all inclusion. And in terms of the regulations and as well as the act, which is as of now is not permitting us, but we are already, find out the carve out, having a separate entity where we are carrying out such kind of activities. And we have such kind of 4 or 5 entity where we will definitely going to have the certificate course for them for the financial professionals. So it's like financial inclusion as well as the awareness program. So we are surely planning for it, and not in the ICAI, but definitely in the different subsidies which we have, we're going to have for the various finance professionals, as well as we can also launch in this particular separate, subject to the council approval with the GIFT City as well as IFSC and ICAI subsidy company can offer a certificate program for the financial growth. That can be happen.
Yeah, I think it will be encouraging for those who are non-CS. I think particularly me, I'm not a chartered accountant, but I lead a practice which has many chartered accountants. So I have a devotion for both non-chartered accountants and chartered accountants. So maybe we will, while I will not ask you a question on the talent, you have already talked about it. You have established the financial setup in Australia. So, and of course, Australia took away our World Cup. Okay, so do you think you can bring in more investments from the Aussies? And what do you think on the tech side? Okay, now you have built in a lot of fintech solutions for many of the organizations. So what do you think as a startup company, how much does a technology or a digital solution plays a role, especially considering the situation you are in? There are a lot of fintech activities happening here. How do you promote those?
It's a great question, and it's very relevant to what I do as well. So we, besides Be Free, we have another company which is actually a SaaS-based product in financial technology. So this company is basically serving Australian market, basically for their retirement fund. I think I'm a chartered accountant, by the way, from India, and I share the the passion and the vision of what my young colleagues we have here. I think chartered accountant itself should not be a limitation of just doing tax and compliance. What Sandip was saying, I think chartered accountants are capable of delivering a lot more to the world. I think we are in a perfect position to place ourselves as a financial technology professionals rather than just a compliance professional. I think this is where the world is going. Even in compliance, if you look at, like I just saw in one of the exhibition, that Indian auditing now have a software.
Yeah.
Correct. I think there is a great room for chartered accountants having these domain expertise and IT professionals, having in India to create companies in fintech to serve the world in an accounting and financial industry. And fintech is the perfect platform, perfect environment to take these initiatives.
Great. I think that brings to my
Shobha,
last question. Yeah, please.
I just add one point here as to how smart the chartered accountant community is, in my experience over a period of time. When we were setting up the GIFT, we were explaining about the benefits of GIFT, and obviously the clients all come through the chartered accountants. So a chartered accountant would always be with them. When we are explaining, we would explain about the GIFT and all. And when they go out or probably go back, they explain them about the tax benefits in Dubai, Mauritius, Singapore, because they allowed the tax treaties to be used for tax shopping, treaty shopping, as they say. So the chartered accountant was so smart that they were used to know laws of DIFC, they know the law of Singapore, they know the law, all the other laws on tax benefits outside. So we got puzzled as to how to overcome the chartered accountant mindset, because they want the treaty shopping and we want to sell gift. So what we did was, we came up with the ancillary framework, where the chartered accountant, when he set up in gift in the IFFC, he gets out of 10-year tax holiday. So that was the first step that this is something for me to come in. And now they are telling the clients to set up here because they are getting the advantage both ways. The client is getting the same advantage. The chartered accountant is also getting the same advantage. So our experience with this chartered accountant community and professionals is they are actually far ahead of time as to what we can actually visualize. But the time has come that you should now see what is, as Sandip was saying, just on your backyards, a financial center growing in such a speed, and you are not participating. In fact, the only one chartered accountancy firm today we have, which is I think is already present here, CNK. They have set up an ancillary auditing accounting practice in the IFFC, and many more wants to. But you should now look this very seriously as to how you can grow your offshore, similar to what Viral could do for Be Free.
Yeah, thanks. I think
and you can charge them in dollars.
True. That's one of the biggest advantage of charging in dollars. I agree to that. Okay, I think we have run out of time, and you took away the last question, Dr. Dipesh, I think. So I would like to thank all of you here, all the members, the panel members here, the experts here who have shared a lot of thoughts, and I think there is many more. So I think if you have any questions, we have IFSC members. Dheeraj, of course, is there. So you can ask questions. And thank you so much for your time, and all the best to you for all the budding chartered accountants. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we bring this enlightening panel discussion to a close, a special appreciation to our eminent moderator and distinguished panelists for sharing their expertise, unraveling the opportunities within GIFT IFSC, and contributing to a robust discourse. Your insights have illuminated this session and added immense value to our understanding of this burgeoning financial sector. I take the honor to pose for a significant gesture on stage, requesting CA Bishan R. Shah, immediate past chairman Ahmedabad branch, to present memento to Mrs. Shobha Keni, eminent moderator. A token of appreciation, memento symbolizes our deep gratitude for the wealth of knowledge shared in the session. Requesting CA Chintanan Patel, RCM WIRC ICAI, to present memento to Mr. Sandip Shah. Requesting CA Kamisha Soni, CCM ICAI, to present memento to Mr. Dipesh Shah. It is a sincere gesture to convey our appreciation for the expertise and vision shared with us today.
As well as the Rajkumar Dukhiya, try to give it.
Requesting CA Mangesh Kinare, CCM ICAI, to present memento to Mr. Viral Kanabar. It is a symbol expressing our profound gratitude for your exceptional contribution to the session, sir. Requesting CA Prasanna Kumar and Rajkumar Adukia to be on the stage for a quick photograph. As we depart with enriched insights, let us carry forward the spirit of exploration and collaboration, leveraging the opportunities that GIFT IFSC represents. We will resume our proceedings after a brief intermission of 15 minutes. Looking forward to reconvening shortly.